Shalom. I want to start off, as always, by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baharaka Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to the Akim out there pushing his word now, sincerity and truth, starting with the 144,000, and also the men, women, and children whom the Lord has foreordained to believe and to receive mercy, part of that large multitude. This lesson is going to be based on the definition of two concepts: hedonic adaptation and consumerism, and specifically why these two concepts, are important, and how they bring certain scriptures to life which speak about, you never being satisfied with chasing money or chasing material gain, and that's something you'll realize in your life, if more money was something that you wanted, and you went out and you hustled and you got it, you feel, satisfied for maybe a couple days, a couple weeks, depending on the amount of money, maybe a couple months, but then, you want more, or maybe a new tech gadget comes out, and you lust after it, and you tell yourself that if I get this, I'll be happy. You get it, and within a couple weeks, it feels like nothing again, or maybe you see this really fine, female, and you say, no, if I can get in her pants, if I can get her, I'm gonna be happy, and then you get her, and after you nut, you come to your senses, right, and you don't feel the same anymore, There's this rap article called Wale, which I used to listen to a lot. I still listen to him every now and then. But he had a verse where it was saying that, why is it that, the things that we lust after, they seem more desirable, when we're lusting after them than when we actually get them. So the contemplation of getting something is actually more pleasurable than actually receiving the thing. The anticipation of getting something is actually more pleasurable than the thing itself, and that even goes back to, how our brains are wired, how dopamine is released. Dopamine is called the reward, chemical. It makes us feel good when we achieve or accomplish, certain things. It's actually released more when we anticipate something and when we're about to get that something rather than when we actually get it. Showing you that, in this flesh, we are wired to want, we are wired to crave and to go after things, So we're going to get into hedonic adaptation, briefly, what it is. Hedonic adaptation, also known as the hedonic treadmill, is a concept studied by positive psychology researchers and others who focus on happiness and well-being that refers to people's general tendency to return to a set level of happiness despite life's ups and downs. Hedonic adaptation is often referred to as the hedonic treadmill because we end up where we started. And that word hedonic goes back to pleasure, right? So we pretty much pleasure, passion, sensation, It can be also used to refer to negative things, but we're focusing here on, positive pleasures and passions, So it says we always end up where we started, meaning you crave after something, you get it, you get a short emotional high, and then you get right back down, right? Hedonic adaptation is an adaptation level phenomenon, which is a term that describes how humans become insensitive to new stimuli and quickly readjust to an emotional baseline. Therefore, the stimulus needed to create an emotion like happiness or excitement needs to be more intense than the last stimulus in order for someone to feel its effect. In other words, you crave something, you get it, you feel that reward for a short period of time, and then you crave even more, right? So you're never truly satisfied. You're never truly satiated. You never truly feel like you have enough. Now, because of this tendency that we have, you have a business term, called consumerism, which pretty much taps into, this weakness that we have, for a better for lack of a better term, this weakness that we have that taps into that human need to to crave more and more, right? And that's consumerism, right? So it says consumerism is the idea that increasing the consumption of goods and services purchased in the market is always a desirable goal, and that a person's well-being and happiness depend fundamentally on obtaining consumer goods and material possessions, right? In the economic sense, consumerism is related predominantly to the Keynesian idea that consumer spending is the key driver of the economy and that encouraging consumers to spend is a major policy goal. From this point of view, consumerism is a positive phenomenon that fuels economic growth. And what it fuels is just consumption. Consumption to the point of overconsumption. And then the companies that produce those things for you to consume, they make massive profits off of you, but then you are stuck on the hedonic treadmill, right? You buy a new phone and then new one comes out, you buy it, I fall into that sometimes. You buy a new car this year, new one comes out next year, oh, I've got to have it, and so on and so forth. You get a new girl, you get used to her, oh, I need to get that one is finer, I'll use another, rapper as an example, J. Cole. J. Cole has a song that's called Love Yours, which was released, I think, way back in 2014, and he's pretty much said that there's always going to be something better. There's always going to be a house that's bigger. There's always going to be somebody that has more money. There's always going to be a woman that looks better than your woman. There's always going to be clothes that are finer than your clothes. There's always going to be more. And if you keep chasing that more, you're never going to be satisfied. You're going to be stuck on that treadmill, like a hamster on a wheel, just chasing the next high, right? So we're going to start here in Ecclesiastes 5 and verse 10. All right, this section is called the folly of riches. So it says, he that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity, right? Because the more you get silver, which is, money, you're never going to be satisfied with it. The more you get it is the more you actually crave it, right? And if you go to the tools here, and you go to the craft references, there's a note here that I wanted to bring out. It says, the more he gets, the more he would get. For crescit amor numi, quantum ipsa pecunia crescit. The love of money increases in proportion as money increases, as money itself increases. So the more you get money is the more the love of money increases. I.e., it's just like we read in the article, let me get back to it. It says, hedonic adaptation is an adaptation level phenomenon, which is a term describes how humans quickly become insensitive to new stimuli and quickly readjust to an emotional baseline. Therefore, the stimulus needed to create an emotion, like happiness or excitement, need to be more intense than the last stimulus. So the more money you get, the more you love more money. Right? If you start to get, so let's say your salary increases, and you can afford a better life. Your baseline about what you want in your life, your cost of living or your standard of living is gonna raise, and you're gonna get used to more comfortable or luxury items because you can afford it, and that's gonna be your new baseline. And you're gonna look back at when you used to spend much less and say, I couldn't be able to do that anymore, and it just becomes the norm for you. So then there's something else more that you crave, while where you're at right now may be something that you crave to be at in the past, but you've gotten adjusted to it, So let me read it again. It says, he that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also what? Vanity. And if you look up that word vanity, let's get into it here. The word vanity here is habal, right? And it says emptiness, figuratively something transitory or unsatisfactory, right? Not satisfied, not good enough. Another term for unsafe, disappointing, insatisfacent, right? So it's unsatisfactory. That's what vain means. It's empty, right? So the pleasures that you were chasing, they were empty. They didn't satisfy you. So you want more. When goods increase, they are increased that eat them, and what good is there to the owner thereof, saving the beholding of them with their eyes. It's pretty much it, you know. So let's jump to another precept. This is Ecclesiastes 6:7. All the labor of man is for his mouth, and yet the appetite is not filled. So pretty much you labor, everything that you labor for is for your desires, the lust of the flesh, the pride of life, the lust of the eyes. And when you get it, you're still not satisfied. Your appetite is still not filled. You want more. You know, Ecclesiastes 4:4. Again, I considered all the travail and every right work, that for this a man is envied of his neighbor. This is also vanity and vexation of spirit. There's this term that's used in social circles called FOMO, the fear of missing out. You know, where you go on social media, you see your peers and other people living these lavish lifestyles, traveling to the Middle East like Dubai, traveling all over the world, you know, living these extravagant lifestyles, you know, taking these really expensive trips, buying expensive stuff. And you see that you're constantly being bombarded with that whenever you scroll through social media. And you feel as if you're missing out and you envy that person. So then you try to achieve that, sometimes to the detriment of your own financial stability, sometimes to the detriment, most times to the detriment of your own mental and emotional health, right? Because you've seen it, right? So you envy it and you want it. The fool foldeth his hands together and eateth his own flesh. Better is an handful with quietness, right, than both hands full with travail and vexation of spirit, you know? So people will tell you, and we'll get it, in the scriptures, the more you increase in riches and in material possession, right, is the less satisfaction you have with life, right? You're not satisfied. You don't have that quietness, right? Then I returned and saw vanity under the sun. There is one alone, there is not a second. Yea, he hath neither child nor brother, yet is there no end of his labor. Neither is his eye satisfied with riches. Neither saith he, for whom do I labor, and bereave my soul of good? This is also vanity, right? It is a sore travail. Let's read that in the NLT. Ecclesiastes 4:8. It says, this is the case of a man who is all alone, without a child or a brother, yet who works hard to gain as much wealth as he can. But then he asks himself, who am I working for? Why am I giving up so much pleasure now? It is also meaningless and depressing, right? So let's continue on and see what is the mindset that we should have, right? So this is 1 Timothy 6, and I'll start from verse, let's start from verse 6. It says, but godliness with contentment is great gain, right? Let's look up that word, contentment, right? So the word contentment here.
Strong's G, 841. Austarkaya.
Contentedness, self-satisfaction, contentment, sufficiency. You look up that word in the dictionary, it says a state of happiness and satisfaction, contentedness, right? So it says godliness with contentment is great gain. Being satisfied, you know, with the position that you're in. You know, Paul said, you know, I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, right? I have learned to be content in whatever state that I am, right? So it says, for we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content, right? But they that will be rich will fall into a temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. Now, that is not to say that if brothers have the opportunity to improve their standard of life, that they shouldn't. But it shouldn't be something that drives you so much that, you know, you feel so unsatisfied. You know, you feel that craving, that lust that's just pulling you. You know, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, because you have some men who just want to earn money for the sake of having money. You know, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. But thou, O man of God, flee these things, follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, and meekness. Fight the good fight of faith, lay hold on eternal life, whereunto thou art also called, and hast professed a good profession before many witnesses. All right, and we're going to wrap here with the words of our Lord, Yahushai, Hamashiach, Luke 12, verse 15. And he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness, which is what fuels that consumerism lifestyle, that FOMO, fear of missing out. That's covetousness. Take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesses. Let's read that in the NLT. Right? Then said he, beware, guard against every kind of greed. Life is not measured by how much you own. Right? Reading on, it says, then he told them a story. A rich man had a fertile farm that produced fine crops. Right? He said to himself, what should I do? I don't have room for all my crops. Then said he, I know I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones. Then I'll have room enough to store all my wheat and other goods. And I'll sit back and say to myself, my friend, you have enough stored away for years to come. Now take it easy, eat and drink and be merry. But God said to him, you fool, you will die this very night. Then who will get everything you worked for? Yes, a person is a fool to store up earthly wealth, but not have a rich relationship toward Yahweh, right? And it just so happens that, I was watching a video, by the elder brother Raquacom, pretty much responding to this very dark, and black person, we don't even call him an Israelite, Jake, dark Jake, who pretty much saying that, the Hebrew Israelites are just out there, shouting at people, and we're just content to just know stuff, because he's all about the money, But if you don't have wisdom, money will not do anything for you. The scripture does say money is a defense. And it also says wisdom is a defense. There are certain economic advisors on the internet, such as Dave Ramsey, who's a really good one. And he will always tell you, the solution is not for you to earn more money. Because if you have poor spending habits and poor financial habits in general, you have poor financial habits, if you gain more money, you will still have those poor financial habits and you will still be living paycheck to paycheck. So if you don't change your mindset, if you don't acquire more wisdom, because, learning leads to a change in behavior, right? So if you don't learn more, if you don't acquire more knowledge and your behaviors and your habits don't change, getting more money, right, will still just, cause you to live the same way, right? So hopefully this lesson was edifying, through the Spirit. And, until next time, Shalom.